Hey guys, today I'm going to be going over the SVS SoundPath subwoofer isolation system, and I'm going to be going over what it does for bass and things like that, and also I'm going to be giving you guys a couple tips here. As you can see, I've got this sub pulled out because I'm going to show you some things and actually show you the feet. But as you can see over here, with that sub, they don't really show up very well. It's a very it's not obvious that you've got an isolation system in place. They blend, they look stock. So it's kind of cool, but I'm going to actually show it to you. And there's poor Angel, she's still got her cone on. But looks like a couple more days and she'll get it off. But anyway, I've got their beds all moved, so everything's all wonky. But I'm going to bring this up closer to this sub so you can see what I'm talking about. So why would you go with subwoofer isolation? Essentially, you're decoupling the sub from the floor and you're trying to keep the sound energy from going into the floor. And it's one of those things that I noticed quite a bit when I did this. And what's funny about this, though, is that way back when I started this channel, I had a viewer, I believe his name is Lou Sigma, and he said, oh, hey, you've got to try, an isolation system. And I'm like, okay, well, I got like a rubber floor mat and I tried it out and I didn't really notice much. And part of that was because the sub I had at the time already had isolation feet on them. So I didn't notice much. So I kind of dismissed it. And so then I went and I started with the PB1000s and then the SB2000s, and now I'm at the PB2000s. And I've also had the PC2000s as well. But these I went from regular feet to the SVS isolation system. And then I actually noticed something, because prior to that, I don't know, it was just kind of a comedy of errors. I didn't really see the benefit of it. And so, I just kind of, knew, oh yeah, it could be pretty good. And of course, there's some contention on this issue. Some people say you can't tell anything. I think some of that depends on the floor. Definitely on a wood floor, I think it makes a huge difference. But for me, when I plugged these in and I installed them, I noticed quite a difference. And also, I did the apartment video for sure. Definitely, if you're on, a second floor or something like that, or anything different than concrete, for sure, I think it's a good idea. Even on concrete, I'm sure there's some benefit to it. I just don't know how much. I don't have a concrete floor. But for wood floors, I'd say this is a definite good upgrade. And it's funny because it actually, because of my room, my floors are kind of rickety. And for me, it actually increased the output a little bit. But it was cleaner, it was tighter, it was better defined. Bear, you hush. He's going to bark in the video again, I just know it. But everything's just tighter and more defined. And I've actually seen some reviews where two subwoofers that are, super comparable, really close. And the guy said, oh, well, this subwoofer sounded so much better than that one. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, knowing what I know. And come to find out, one particular sub had the isolation, type feet on them, and the other one didn't. And so it made enough of a difference to where he's like, yeah, blew the other one away. I doubt it really blew the other one away. Sometimes that can just be a slight adjustment, on the gain or something like that. So, but I think it could definitely sway someone's opinion on a sub just based on, whether the sub is decoupled from the floor. So, for me, I noticed fewer rattles. There's this song called Saturday Night. I think it's V White and Politician, something like that. Anyway, it's on the Spotify playlist under Quick Subwoofer Demo. That thing always rattles the floor in here. That's kind of one of the reasons I use it on that demo. And rattles it bad. But when I put these things on, the rattling was reduced quite a bit. And so they actually do something. It's not just, it's not just theoretical. I noticed a big change with that. And again, the stealthiness, they look stock. And I'll go ahead and zoom in. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. So these, all right, kerthunk, it went. All right, so I'm gonna zoom in on this here. I'll show you guys. These are the feet themselves, okay? Now, if you'll notice, it's squishy. I mean, I can really easily move that around. So these things, they really went a long way towards getting the right setup, because see a little dust on the sub there, huh? Because you know, if it's too hard or too loose, it's not going to have that isolating effect. Now, this isolating effect I'm talking about, let me see if I can get this thing positioned just right. I'm going to show you guys how much this thing moves. Okay, let's see, that should be good. All right, so when the bass is really rocking and rolling, okay, this thing can really move. Now the feet are staying in one place, okay, but the sub itself is decoupled from the floor, so you can actually really see it moving, okay? And in certain passages and things like that, you can see this thing moving. Now you'll notice you're not hearing much else. Now sometimes if I have a loose wire or something, you know, it's knocking up against the cabinet, you'll hear something. But the way these feet are designed, it just really decouples it and it takes the noise out. So it's a great thing. I'm really, you know, I really like the system a lot. For me, it's a worthwhile upgrade. You know, they've really done the design just right. It's kind of like suspension. You know, if you put, you know, semi springs on a car, that's going to be a really rough ride, and you've almost got no suspension at all. And vice versa, you put car springs on a semi, it's going to flatten them out. They have to be just right to work, and that's what these things are. They are just dialed in just right, and they've got just the right amount of squishiness, but they're not too squishy to where it doesn't support them. So, you know, they've really done some research on these, so they're real good. One other thing that I'll point out, this is one of the tips I'm talking about. When you go to move the sub, when it's got these isolation feet on them, you want to pick the whole thing up. If you drag it across the floor, there's a couple things that can happen. One is you can possibly tear them, because again, you saw how squishy they were. You can tear them if you do that, so that's not good. Second thing is that if you drag it, depending on which way you drag it, you could actually loosen the feet themselves. And I actually had that happen. You know, I was showing someone, oh yeah, see how much it moves? You know, it really does something. And then I'm like, wait, that's kind of a rattle. Why is there a rattle? I thought I had a loose wire or something like that. No, it was the foot had come loose. So tightened it back up, everything was better. But it's one of those things that, you know, it's just one of those tips that they have it in the manual. Pick them up, don't, you know, drag them across the floor. But that's why. That's one of the reasons why. And potential tearing is the other one. But these do come with a 5-year warranty on them, and of course all the other, you know, free shipping and all that good stuff. So, you know, they stand behind the product, but it's good stuff. And the other thing too is it might actually be usable for things like turntables. I'm not entirely sure, again, because of that whole suspension concept. But it seems to me that they might be good for turntables. I'm not, you know, I don't have a turntable yet, and I'll talk to you guys about that in a second here. But it seems to me it might be pretty good, or actually using these on the bottom of an entertainment center or stand where you have a turntable. Particularly if you're using good subs, I would imagine. You know, that's one of those things where, you know, any way you can isolate that needle or that stylus from skipping would be a good idea. But that's just something, that's a thought I had in dealing with these. So overall, I think they're great. I think it's a worthwhile upgrade, particularly if you're in an apartment, particularly if you have wood floors. And, you know, the number or the type of isolation system you'll need, whether it has 4 or 6 feet, will depend on the sub. You know, like the Ultra Series ported subs, those I believe need 6 feet, things like that. So it just basically goes by the number of feet that you need. And so if you're ordering an SVS sub or something like that, it should have next to the isolation system which system you need for which of their subs. But the cool thing is you don't need an SVS sub to use this isolation system. Pretty much anything with screw-in feet will work. It comes with several different sizes, and so it's meant to be used not just with SVS brand, but other brands as well. And this is one of those upgrades, I think, that even if you've got a $200 sub, it'd be worthwhile. Just because, bass is bass, you know what I mean? Even if it doesn't go super deep, it's still bass. It still has that energy in it. So, in those cases, I'd say it's worthwhile, not only because it'll still work, but you can transfer that isolation system to a newer sub. And so let's say you're running a $200 sub right now, you can get this isolation system, and then when you go to upgrade to a better sub, something like that, then you can just transfer, the feet to the new sub. Problem solved. So it's one of those things where it makes sense pretty much for any subwoofer. Now, if you don't have feet, I don't know. That's a different story. But most subs, they do have screw-in feet, so that's a cool thing. But anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I like it because it does its job without being super obvious. You don't have this giant pad or stand or whatever. So I like that. Normally I would say, I'm an SVS affiliate. I guess I should have mentioned that in the first part, but, and so normally I'd say get all of your SVS products from SVS itself. And there's a couple of reasons for that. With the upgrade program where you have the 1-year upgrade, let's say you get a PB2000 and decide you wanted a PB12 Plus or an Ultra Series sub, within the year you can upgrade. So it makes sense to go directly to SVS for stuff like that. But when it comes to things like this, the isolation system, you can get this from places like Amazon and whatnot. And I'll put the links down for Amazon as well. Because there's no upgrade. With the isolation system, it doesn't matter. Like there's no one grade of isolation system and then the next grade. It's all just the same. So having the 1-year upgrade and stuff doesn't matter so much. So in that case, if you're more comfortable with Amazon or whatever, go for it. So I'll put both links in below. And one other thing too, if you have the PC 2000s, you don't need them because they already come with them. So it's the same isolation system, just comes on those stock on that particular sub. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys that do follow these links right before you buy. It's I've seen it and I appreciate it. It's one of those things. It helps the channel. It also helps me determine the type of impact I'm having on the channel too, kind of in black and white. So I really appreciate that. And I know not all of my viewers can do that. I've got viewers in Australia. I've got viewers in the UK, South Korea. I mean, all over the place. So the affiliate programs only works in the United States. So, but I appreciate you guys that do. It helps a whole lot. It's one of those things. I got to pay the bills somehow, right? But anyway, these isolation system, I think, is really a good quality upgrade for basically anybody with any type of subwoofer. It's just one of those things. Like I said, just being able to see it actually physically work is real good, and it does make a difference. And that's going to bring me to my next topic. I'm contemplating going into vinyl. I'm trying to decide whether it's worth it. I'm toying with the idea, and I'm curious what you guys think. If vinyl's worth it, A, and B, if you guys think it's good and it's worth getting into. I'm looking for a turntable under $300. So I kind of want to put this out there and see what you guys thought. If you guys had any specific things in mind, I've got a few turntables in mind myself, but I wanted to see how much of my audience is into vinyl. I don't know. I'm a few of you guys have mentioned it, but not. I don't know. I don't know that I have a huge vinyl contingent on my channel, but I'm curious. How many of you guys are running vinyl? And if you are running vinyl and you're running SVS subs or other powerful subs like this, is it an issue? What I mean by that is the bass so much that it's not going to style us around? you know, that's one thing that I'm concerned about, and something I'm going to have to deal with, I'm sure. But then again, maybe it's not. Let me know what you guys think on that. I'm curious about getting into vinyl. I'm curious to see if it's worth it. And you know, I hear good things. There's pluses and minuses. I know it's a lot more involved, but I'm curious to get some feedback on that. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. I know this is a longer video, but I've had these you know, the isolation system for a while now, and I wanted to, you know, I mentioned it like in the apartment video and things like that, but I wanted to do an actual review of it, because they are, it's a really good system. I think that the amount of value you get out of it, you know, the difference is there, and it's worth it. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you guys think on the turntables and stuff. If you got any ideas, shoot, let me know. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.